Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my series on the Bhagavad Gita. We are currently at the 10th slok of the third Adhyay Karma Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita. And in this Adhyay, this part of the Bhagavad Gita is all about actions and how an ideal man is supposed to act in this world. So, without further ado, please look at the earlier videos on the Bhagavad Gita so that this makes some context. And let us start with the Shlok 10 of the third Adhyay of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Sah yajna praja srushta purovacha prajapati अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वमेश वोस्त्वि वो वोस्त्व इष्ठा काम दुख. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So, similar to the Western or Christian context, Hinduism is also the idea of sacrifice pops up again and again in Hinduism. Um, Hindus often worship before a sacred fire. This is known as a yajna. And the idea is that we feed some essential oils, some foods, while chanting various mantras or chanting various hymns and prayers to this yajna. And the whole point is that we do this to obtain favor from the gods. And the four Vedas of Hinduism, some of these Vedas, which are holy texts in Hinduism, they have these rituals they have a detailed description of these rituals, exactly how one is supposed to perform these rituals to please the gods and thereby obtain their favor. And this essentially is what Lord Vishnu is saying, that in the beginning of creation, so the way Christians believe that all humans are descended from Adam and Eve, similarly Hindus believe that human beings are descendants of Manu, who was the first man. So basically, it is saying that it is important to sacrifice for the greater good. And even in our lives, we see that if you want to obtain something, you always have to give something up. You want to get good marks, you need to sacrifice the time that you have for enjoyment. You want to, let's say, be with the woman of that you love, and you want to have a stable monogamous relationship. You have to sacrifice all other opportunities that may come by for casual encounters, and so on and so forth. So if you want to attain something great, something incredible, you have to always be willing to sacrifice. And sometimes truly incredible, momentous things demand uh, horrifying amounts of sacrifice. देवं भाव यते यतानेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेय परमवा पश्यथः. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. इष्ठान भोगन ही वो देवा दास्यन्ते यज्ञ भावितः तै तैर्दतान प्रदाययो यो भुङ्क्षो स्तेन एवं सह. In charge of the various necessities of life, being satisfied by the performance of yajna will supply the necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to demigods in return is certainly a thief. Now, often in life, we are favored by the gods, but we are unable to recognize our good fortune. So, a classic example might be that, in, let's say, a man who has achieved a lot in life, he has a stable, successful career, so on and so forth. And he just has a giant ego, because he's like, oh, whatever I have in life, I gained it. I am this, I am that. No one works as hard as me. No one is smart and as capable and as talented as I am, and so on. And his ego is wild. Why? Because he fails to recognize the fundamental truth, which is that even that man, and even though he may have worked hard to attain that position in life, he was certainly favored by the gods in the sense that he's blessed to do that, to have a stable, successful career. One often needs to have above average levels of intelligence. One also needs to have the capacity to be able to put in. So one needs to have a temperament which is fine tuned to working hard. So human beings have this dimension called conscientiousness, like how much effort are you willing to put in, and human beings vary along that dimension. Of course, there is a genetic link between intelligence. So intelligence is a genetic gift, and so point is that no matter how successful in life you are, no matter where you are, one must also always remember that without a little bit of luck, without some natural inborn advantages, no one can succeed at anything. And most fundamentally of all, without people around us to support us in our endeavors, we cannot succeed at anything. So I think this is a deep metaphorical truth that no matter how successful you become, to never forget how you got there and never forget that you're only there because the gods smiled in favor on you. And when they may stop smiling and you may have all of those things, but if you don't have luck, you're not going to be able to succeed. यज्ञशिष्ठांशिनः सन्तो मुच्यन्ते सर्वक्लीबशै भुञ्जन्ते त्वघं पापा ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. So in Hinduism, there is a tradition that whenever we eat or consume food, we always leave some morsels of food aside. It is said that we leave some food aside for our ancestors, and we also leave some food aside for our gods. So this I think it's a very ancient way of teaching human beings to always share their food. And the reason why we amongst all animals we build such massive societies and we're able to organize ourselves on such massive levels is simply because we are willing to share resources, where we are able to communicate, and we are willing to work cooperatively in a way that other species on this planet are just not. So I think this is what is important, that no matter how much you get, to always leave a portion of it aside, to offer it to the gods, to offer it for charity, so on and so. अन्नाद भवन्ति भूतानि पर परजन्याद अन्न संभवः यज्ञाद भवति परजन्यो यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भावः. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. So this states that okay, you're eating food, and maybe you worked hard in the field to produce that food. But always remember, if it stops raining tomorrow, the food is not going to grow, regardless of what you do. The grains are not going to grow. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna is telling Arjun to always remember that no matter what happens, no matter what good fortune you get, to never forget the divine source of it all at the end of the day. कर्म ब्रहो कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भावम विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षरः समुद्भावम तस्मत् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यम यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्. That is, regulated activities are described in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all pervading transcendence is eternally situated in the acts of sacrifice. And so I think with this, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is telling Arjun that no matter that there is something divine about the act of sacrifice, that the act of sacrifice itself uh, makes makes it possible for us to obtain favor from the gods. So no matter where you are, always be willing to sacrifice for the greater good, sacrifice for the good of yourself in the future, sacrifice for the good of your parents, definitely sacrifice for the good of your children. And I think in doing so, you become a better person than you were before you decided to sacrifice. एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम नानु वर्तयतीह यः अघायुरीन्द्रियारामो मोघम पार्थ स जीवितम जीवति. My dear Arjun, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice, thus established in the Vedas, certainly lives a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. So I think a life where you just care about yourself, where you're focused only on yourself, according to Bhagavan Shri Krishna, is a life that is wasted. And I am inclined to agree, that what is the point of such a life if you just live for yourself? To what end? You know, in Hindi, there's a saying, or there's a famous, you can say, song. एक दिन मिल जाएगा माटी के मोल जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल. Which means one day you'll be reunited with the soil and all that will remain are your words. I tend to disagree with the song. I think the actions of your karma can echo across even centuries. Like the name of Prabhu Sri Ram and his actions is still with us. The name of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, of Maharana Pratap, they're with us because they are noble men who fought for Dharma. And that is why their names are there with us. So live a life for others, sacrifice for others, and the repercussions of your karma might elevate you to levels that you never thought possible. Thank you. Please keep on liking, sharing, and subscribing these videos as I make my way through the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Jai Shri Krishna.